The International Day of the Girl Child is a day that's commemorated all over the world under the United Nations. It's a day that's meant to examine, to evaluate and promote equality for girls in all communities in the world. Girl Boss SA today premiered a 20-minute documentary that's examining the shame around menstruation that female learners experience in South Africa, and it's a call for government, of course, to make sanitary towels free and available to all females. To talk to us more about this initiative, we joined now live via Zoom by South African actress Keke Mphuthi and Ntombenhle Khathwane, who is the founder of Girl Boss SA. Very good afternoon to you, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC News channel.
Thank you so much.
All right, so Ntombenhle, let's start with you. As we commemorate the International Day of the Girl Child today, what's the significance of this day, and maybe perhaps what does it mean for the girl child?
I think it's a day for us to actually assess, to see how far we've come. And I love the address by the WHO, which highlights the fact that a lot still has to be done. And so that's what we need to look at. And I like the idea and what he pushes, the fact that women and girls have to be at the center and advocating for the change that they want to do or want to see. And that's what Girl Boss is about. We are here to advocate and to push for the change that every woman and every female girl child deserves to experience in South Africa.
All right, so let's just talk about the documentary that was premiered today titled Unmask, Period Shame. Tell us more about this documentary and how was it received?
The reason why we did the documentary is because we see every other month, corporate companies going out to schools and communities to give pads and sanitary pads and any menstrual hygiene. And for me, speaking to girls on the ground in terms of the work that we do, we realize that that doesn't actually solve the problem. Period shame goes a long, deep, hurtful way, and it's more than just the shame of not having sanitary pads. So the documentary highlights the fact that we have a lack of education. Our education curriculum does not prepare girls themselves to understand what menstruation is, what's going to happen, how they should deal with it in terms of hygiene, how their body's going to react, the period pains they may experience. It also doesn't give the boys an understanding that this is something that's natural. Menstruation is something that's powerful. It's a creation. And boys are seeing it as something that is disgusting, something that diminishes girls. So women come into age and they feel like menstruation diminishes their dignity, instead of them feeling empowered and blessed that they are part of creation. They are part of the reason why humanity has a past, present, and future. A lot of the girls we spoke to wish they didn't experience menstruation because it's not something that is received, that gives them any pride in. And this is something that is a taboo across religions, across class, across ethnicities, and across race. So it's something that we have to have a serious conversation about broadly and see an urgent change if we want to see every girl grow to be her own full potential. And we need girls to be at their full potential in order for this country to experience the full potential of all its citizens and we build a beautiful country.
All right, so let me just bring Keke into the discussion as well. So why did you feel the need to become part of this initiative?
Truth be told, this initiative holds a very dear place in my heart because I too have gone that route, and it was not by choice, where you find yourself in a place where you do not have a sanitary pad, and the mockery and the stigma and the embarrassment behind it. It affected me psychologically, it affected me physically. It said a lot about exactly how I saw myself as a girl child. Yes, I might not personally be experiencing the same things, but because I've been there and I understand where it is that they're at. I mean, it's embarrassing having to talk about it to a certain degree to some people, but I take pride now knowing that it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Back then when I was younger and I was in high school, I definitely thought that it was my fault that I can't afford pads, or that I had a certain odor that was probably just not appealing or comfortable for everybody else around me, and there's really nothing much you can do about it because I am a woman, and this is something that's necessary that my body needs to go through, and understanding. We don't have that as Black communities. Our Black homes, we do not have our families sit us down and explain to us how the body changes occur in a woman, and that is not just their fault. It stems from their lack of education as well with regards to this. I mean, you get older people that still don't understand the concept behind periods and why we get it. They just see it as a front door and a way open for you to fall pregnant as a young woman without understanding what the health benefits and the growth process of you and into your womanhood it does for you. So this has been a very close to heart initiative as I won't even say a former victim. I'm still currently a victim of that because I pour my heart out into this initiative. I'm still standing with the girls, and forward we shall stand with each and every single woman that does not have access to sanitary towels.
Yeah. So I know that you personally sat down with these girls and shared their life experiences with you. Talk to us about what came out of those discussions. As you say that it looks like there's still some lack of education when it comes to going through that particular process as a girl child.
You know what? I think one thing I need to highlight, the most important thing, is that those ladies are very smart. Those are some smart individual girls that I did not expect would have such grace in the way that they put their stories together. One specific story was a little girl that was so scared of her mom to the point where she completely kept it away from her for months on the end because she was so scared that she was going to beat her up, thinking that she was sexually active. At some point, she says that she thought that she was probably going through menopause. I mean, it's just things that they're hearing in between. There goes and there comes the lack of knowledge with regards to us as women, what it is that we go through. I went through so many emotions having to do this interview. I needed also for the ladies to feel that I too, I'm a comfortable voice for them. I too do sympathize with them because I've been through this as well. Just for them to become very, very comfortable in our conversation and for them to feel that it is a safe place. I am not one to judge, and I do not want anybody else out there judging them or feeling pity, but rather seeing them as strong women, young ladies that are going to bring change and help bring change to South Africa and the dynamics that women go through. Our current Miss Universe said a very important statement when she was placed, saying that as young women, we need to cement ourselves in this world. And if we do not start now and start making sure that the world and the opposite sex understand that we are going nowhere and neither is this, they're going to have to deal with it or take the highway.
All right, a very interesting conversation indeed, and as a result, I would really love to invite a girl child that's watching this interview just to get a sense as to how they feel. How does it feel to be a girl child in South Africa? The number to dial is 078 799 4480. 078 799 4480. I just want to get a sense, ladies, as to how do they feel, to be a girl child living in South Africa in this day and age. So, Ntombenhle, coming back to you, how do we've already heard what Keke had to say about the stigma that's attached to periods and menstruation. How do we address this shame that comes with menstruation? I mean, I'm sure you would agree that even at this age, we are still not comfortable in talking to other people when it's that time of the month. It's how we grew up and that's how we are. It hasn't changed. But how do we address that?
I mean, it affects women everywhere, women who are in corporate, young girls who are in school. So it requires a multi-pronged approach. So one of the things that we've done, we've just launched a petition that we want to take to Parliament. And I've already reached out to Parliament, in fact, to get an audience and to submit our petition to get sanitary pads being given to school-going girls in this year, in 2020, in this financial year. It's unacceptable that you get free condoms, but you don't get free sanitary pads. People don't have a choice whether sanitary pads, whether menstruation comes or not. but people have a choice to have sex. So we are approaching government, and we feel I feel aggrieved personally that you have a ruling party with 50% female representation in parliament, and this has not been passed as a law. But another thing that we need to do in terms of government intervening, we need to get into the curriculum. It's important because one of the things the girls highlighted is that they're even afraid to go to their teachers, because the generation of teachers also come from a background where period and menstruation was shamed. So they're getting shamed by their teachers. They're being shamed by elders in their community. So we need to get this spoken to. So some of another recommendation we're making is that government needs to make it a point that every menstruation awareness week, they go out into public radios or stations like the SABC, and they have those conversations so that everyone understands that menstruation is not a shame, it's not an illness, it's not a weakness. It's actually something very powerful that ensures that we are all here today and we are experiencing life as we are experiencing it. It wouldn't be happening if women were not menstruating.
All right. So let's talk about the theme for the commemoration this year, because I'm not even sure, are we celebrating the day or are we commemorating it? Are we even yet at the point where we can say we are celebrating, whereas we're still sitting here and talking about challenges that a girl child face in South Africa? I'll give that to you, Keke, and then Ntombenhle, you'll also get a chance.
I don't necessarily think that we're celebrating it. I mean, like you just said right now, we are still fighting this. It's very important for us to get the Women's League on board with regards to the ruling party in South Africa. They need to help us fight this and for it to have its ground in Parliament going forward. It will not be easy for us to let the male side of the Parliament, as well as the male species in general, understand if our women that are in power currently, being over 50%, like Ntombenhle has said, if they do not help us make this an assertive petition that runs forward and actually preserves and it grows from it, their job, they failed us as women, because we rely on them that have that extra stepping stone into the doorway of getting this signed, sealed and delivered. So no, I do not think that we are celebrating International Day of the Girl. We are still fighting for that recognition to one day celebrate this day with dignity and definitely say that we've become victorious as women.
All right. Ntombenhle, your take on that?
So at Girl Boss, our slogan is My World, My Rules. And our approach is that we need to get girls understanding that they have power, they have agency, and that they should use that agency. We don't have to rely on anyone, but speak up. You have a voice. And I like the theme, My Voice, My Equal Opportunity. It is the only way for you to get equal opportunities to take action on what you believe in. And that's what we are trying to empower girls to do. And they have to be at the helm of driving any change that they want to see in their communities. And yeah, I'm quite excited with the journey we're going to take and the contributions that we have already in place, ready to give to the school, especially the schools in terms of their curriculum. Because if we can change young people, young men, in how they see menstruation, how they treat women. Because for me, the fact that girls can't have access to sanitary pads is a form of gender-based violence. And it's a violent experience to feel ashamed by something that naturally happens to you. That should not be the case in South Africa. But then again, we are a country that's, a gender-based violence capital place. So we are looking forward to participating and working with other organizations as well to empower girls so that they stand their ground, they define their world, people, speak to them and exchange with them according to the girls' rules. And that means that girls understand that they are dignified, they are worthy, and they are enough just as they are.
All right, so let me just repeat the number for those girls there at home who would want to speak to us. 078-799-4480. The question really is very simple. How does it feel to be a girl child in South Africa in this day and age? Would really, really love to hear from you. So I suppose these are continuous discussions that we should be having as a nation, taking into consideration patriarchy that exists amongst us, to teach those young ones to be able to be independent from a very early age, but also to be vocal on what they like and what they do not like.
Absolutely. Patriarchy is a very toxic, it's a toxic philosophy. And it's also perpetuated. I liked what Mam Winnie Mandela used to say, that women are at the front and center of upholding patriarchy. And that's because they don't know better. So in as much as we want girls to grow up being able to change the rules of the current game, we also have to engage the older generation to understand that this was not right, it's not normal, and it's okay for you to allow your girl to change, even if you don't understand it. Don't criticize it. Let her define her world so that she can have the best and fullest expression of herself as a being and have the same opportunities as a boy has. I mean, the fact that a 13-year-old girl or a 9-year-old girls are starting menstruation at 9 years old. She has to take on so much responsibility from the age of 9, while a boy is still playing well until he's 20. So please tell me why women are not ready to lead. Who says that, when girls have to start being responsible and thinking and seeing and planning for their future in a way that boys don't start doing until they're in their 20s.
All right. So, Keke, just your parting shots here. I think it's also important to speak to the parents as well. The conversation shouldn't just be focused on these young ones. We should also, talk to parents and, try to relay the messages as to how these children are feeling.
Thank you for stating that, because that was my next point. As we stated earlier, that our parents do not have understanding with regards to periods and the menstruation cycle and how it works. I speak from personal experience that I too had to learn from a piece of paper on how to use a pad. I had to learn from television. I had to learn from a packet that the tampon has on how to assert and use that, and how long after, when your periods are finishing, what it is that needs to happen with the cleansing process. You feel so uncomfortable. It's painful that our mothers do not have that knowledge, as they were not given the knowledge as well due to apartheid era. And obviously being black in this country is still very much a problem. We are still faced with a lot of challenges that unfortunately other races are not faced with that much. So definitely it needs to start within the homes, but within the homes, with it starting, they also need to be given a chance for them to know what it is that they are working with, in order for them to give us as their children guidelines to knowing our bodies and how menstruation is, and understanding and just accepting our being as women.
Indeed. All right, ladies, time constraints. I'm afraid we have to leave it at this, but thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC News Channel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.